Welcome to Microcap Explosions and Classic Value Investors. This is Mariusz Konieczny. In this video, I'm going to do a follow-up to the secret formula video that I did yesterday, so you can call it part 2. I want to do this video because I want to give you real-life examples of what I'm talking about, just to give you a little bit of a reminder of what I talked about in my first video. Was that by combining time with skill and capital, you can make the most money possible. You're not limited by time, because if all you do is sell your time, then you are limited with how much time you have. And even if you take the time and combine it with skill, you are still just selling your time. And I said that the best, most effective way not to be limited is to combine it with capital. And I wanted to give you an example of 4 individuals, how maybe they're not thinking about this formula the way I said it, but they are doing it maybe without even knowing. So the 4 individuals is Gary Yeoman, Jim Albertelli, Marty Haldane, and Adam Smith from Oracle. So let's take a look at Gary. Let's start with Gary. So what kind of skills does Gary have? Obviously, he has time, right? He has time because he's not using his time to sell it. He's got time to build companies. And his skill and his experience is he's built companies before in the real estate space. He was involved with the Altas Group. He was involved with Real Matters. He understands real estate in and out. He understands real estate technology. He understands appraising. And he was also in the tax assessment business. So when he was younger, he, like everyone else, most likely sold his time for an hourly wage or salary. But as time went on, he gained experience and skills. He didn't go out there and he didn't sell his time to do real estate appraisals. No, he didn't do that. He took the understanding of the industry and he combined it with time, and he combined it with capital. Either it was his capital or someone else's capital to create companies worth hundreds of millions and even billions of dollars. And if you look at what he did with Voxter at the beginning, Voxter was a small company I look about, which he was not a CEO at that point, but he was involved as an advisor. And at some point, he realized that whatever they were doing, it wasn't working, it wasn't making money, it wasn't going in the right direction. What did he do? He took his capital, he injected, I believe it was $2 or $3 million. Let's just call it 2. He injected $2 million into the company. He brought his skill and he brought his time, because he became the CEO of the company. He cleaned up the house. He made a bunch of acquisitions. And up to this point, from the time that he put the $2 million into the company, his portion now is worth a minimum of 20 million, a little bit more than 20 million. And I believe that Voxter is easily going to go to $10. So his portion is going to be, 200 million. So he started with $2 million, combined it with his skill, knowledge, and time, and he will most likely turn it into 200 million. Now, what would have happened if he said and called a financial advisor or a broker and said, hey, I'm not sure how old he is, in his 60s or 70s, let's just say somewhere around there. He would have called the financial advisor and said, hey, I have $2 million. Can you help me invest it? What do you think the financial advisor would have done? Oh, let me put you into these blue chip companies because of your age. We want to make sure that you're going to retire within a few years, we want to make sure you're going to take care of your blah, 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 blah. That's what would have happened. There's zero chance that he would have taken this 2 million and turned it into 200 million. And if he told the financial advisor, hey, take a look at this Voxter company, this is what I'm doing, the financial advisor would say, oh, this is too risky, this is too high concentrated, don't do it, la, 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 la. So that's an example of, of Gary. Now, let's take a look at Jim Albertelli. He's a lawyer. So as lawyers, what you do is you go to school all these years to become a lawyer so that you can sell your time at a high rate per hour, 100, 200, 300, 500, depending on the law firm, depending on your specialization, and depending on your experience. But you're still taking your time and you're selling it. Is Jim doing this? No. Yes, he has his law firm, but what is he doing? He's taking his experience as a lawyer, his experience in title, his experience in real estate, his experience in mortgage, and he's creating products. So instead of selling his time and wasting his time for $100 or $200 per hour, he is being creative. He's using his time and he's combining it with the skill and capital to what? To find solutions. He founded a company that became auction.com. Now he's innovating and he's creating solutions on the title side, whether it's AOL or whatever I talked about in the previous videos, to solve big problems. Okay, and now he's got 100 million shares of Voxter. Okay, as I said before, I think it's easily going to go to $10. So this guy, this lawyer, is going to make $1 billion on Voxter if it turns out to be as successful as I think. Tell me how many lawyers can say that they're worth $1 billion or on the way to be worth $1 billion. At this point, he's already worth a minimum of 100 million. Okay? That's what's possible. That's the magic that's possible when you think outside of the box. You combine your time with skill and capital. Let's move on to Marty Haldane. That's a great example. He's a young guy in his 30s, and at this point, he's worth $30 million. How did he achieve this? Well, he was a third-generation appraiser. And as appraisers, what do appraisers do? They, again, sell their time for a fee. Average cost of an appraisal, let's say $500, right? They spend a whole day or half a day on it, and they sell their time for that fee. And he did that. He did that. His grandfather did that. His father did that. And he did that too. But after most of the appraisers, once they become appraisers, they keep selling their time forever. They never graduate past that stage. Marty graduated past that stage because what did he do? He took his time. He stopped selling his time to do appraisals. He took this time to think about the inefficiencies that were in the appraisal space, and he created A-Now. So he invested his time, he combined it with his understanding and his skills, and whatever capital he had to pay the programmers or to do it himself, that's capital. He invested it and he combined it. And not only this, remember how I said in the previous video that most people don't want to learn? He did want to learn because he told me on the interview that he didn't go to school to become a programmer. He was a real estate appraiser. That's where his skill and education was. He became an appraiser. But then on his own time, he learned how to code. So he developed a completely different skill. So he combined not just one skill, the appraisal skill, the real estate understanding. He combined it with coding, his time, capital to create A-Now. And it became the most successful platform that Voxter ended up buying. And he got about 30 million shares for that. And when, not so much, I don't believe it's if, Voxter goes to $10, this kid in his 30s is going to make $300 million. You know how many appraisals he would have to do, how many hours he would have to sell to make $300 million? I'll do the calculation for you. Let's say, which is the average price of an appraisal is $500. let's say he can do 2 appraisals per day and he doesn't take any days off and he gets 100% of that fee, which is impossible. So let's say 300 million divided by 500. He would have to do 60,000 appraisals, okay? And let's say he has 720 days because he can do 2 per day. It would take him 833 years to earn the same amount of money. But you see what I mean? Because all he will be doing at that point is selling his time and his skill in an area where there's a lot of competition. But instead, he chose to take his time, his skill, and added another skill combined with capital and took it to an area where there was not much competition, and he was able to already create $30 million worth of value for himself right now. And if he sticks with Voxter, he will create $300 million worth of value for himself. Now let's move on to somebody like Adam Smith from Oracle. So what is Adam responsible in Oracle? Investor relations, raising capital, and things like that, right? Now, he could go out and offer these services as a service. Hey, I am the IR guy and I can help you raise money. He could offer it to other mining companies, other small cap companies, and get paid, for his time, combining his time with the skill in order to get paid per hour or per quarter or however he would want to price it. Is he doing this? No. He took his skill, his knowledge of the mining industry, the knowledge of public relations, the knowledge of investor relations, combined it with a project like Santa Thomas. He became part of the project. So he invested his capital into the project, and we all together helped because the project is too big to handle for one person. So other people also, other investors, other management people, the same thing for Voxter. They're not doing it alone. They need help from the capital markets to bring capital. By then, they themselves brought capital to the table. So somebody like Adam, again, combine his time. He's not out there selling his time on a salary. Yes, he's getting salary, but he's combining it with the skill and with the capital to bring Santa Thomas into a major copper project. And when Oracle, let's say, gets bought out for $10, he owns about 10 million shares. He's going to make $100 million. You show me another IR guy that can possibly make $100 million just by selling his services and time. So anyway, these are the 4 individuals that I wanted to feature in this video just to give you a real life example of what's possible by combining time, skill, and capital, whether the capital all comes from you or whether the capital comes from more than one source, it doesn't really matter. As long as you combine these 3 things, great things are possible. So thanks for watching.